Hi, thank you for joining me for the second video in the Bootstrap series of the Sierra Club Huron Valley Group. And this video series is meant to bootstrap local groups, state chapter groups, into hosting events and publicizing their events on media. And it's a series that we're hoping will help get more and more Sierra Club groups engaged with their membership and active in their communities. The first video in the series covered how to organize events and share out a spreadsheet so that you could get people putting all of their events in one place as a single source of information. This video is going to be about organizing an online meeting that you can invite your members to. And then the third video is going to be how to promote events once you've got everything set up, and how to do that through social media. So let's get started here with online meetings. And a lot of groups are moving to online meetings because they cannot meet in person due to the pandemic. Interestingly enough, it's also increased attendance at events because more people are able to log in online versus driving to a particular location for an event. So, it's kind of a trade-off. You miss the human interaction, live interaction, but on the other hand, it's more accessible to people to attend these events. And you can do it hybrid as well, right? So you could do a video stream of an event and also have it happen in a live place as well. And we'll be talking about that in future videos, how to do hybrid events. So let's talk about Zoom. Originally, Sierra Club Huron Valley Group had been conducting our meetings over BlueJeans, and these were successful over the past year. We did get feedback from our membership, though, that they preferred Zoom because Zoom had a wider adoption. So recently we've switched to Zoom for our meetings, and so I'll be using that as the example. And the first thing I want to talk about in regards to hosting online meetings is the package that you want to get when you utilize Zoom or other video conferencing solution. And so if we go to the Zoom website, you'll see that there's a plans and pricing link. And here they list out the plans and the pricing for their different packages. I just wanted to highlight this because there's a little bit of nuance that I think folks are going to want to know about when they decide what to go with. So if you have a meeting where you expect more than a handful of people to show up, you're going to want to at least get a package that allows more than a handful of participants at a single time. Now, in terms of Zoom, they do have this personal free account type that you can sign up for. You can have up to 100 participants, but the meetings can only go for 40 minutes. So there's that. For any event, most events are over 40 minutes. They're an hour or longer. And so there's this package that's $149.90 a year. And this is the one that we went with, in fact. And this allows you to do recording per license, and allows you to have 100 participants or pay a little bit more with an add-on to get 1,000 participants. And you can have group meetings for up to 30 hours. And you can also do social media streaming. Now, this package, it seems the most appropriate for small community groups that are going to be hosting online meetings of their events. Generally, you're going to have more than a handful of participants. For the free, I should say, it's over, if 3 people join your event, it becomes limited to 40 minutes. If you have under 3 people, you can do longer. But generally, folks are going to do an hour or more, right? So this is the package that we went with. and you can utilize any browser to log in and take advantage of Zoom or BlueJeans or any of these. And I should point out that our selection is one that was spawned by membership, and my discussion of it in this video is simply as a demonstration. The Huron Valley Group or the Sierra Club, we do not in any way promote a particular product or service in any way. This is not to do any type of promotion for a particular product or service. This just so happens to be what we went with. So again, this is the payment plan that we went with that seemed the most appropriate for us. So I'm going to sign in here and show you what the interface looks like. And so here is, after you've created an account, you'll see this basic page, and you have what's called a personal meeting ID. And you have your email, and you can have linked accounts. In your licensing, it will show you what type of licensing you've purchased and your language. Now, this is important here. I do want to highlight this right here, which is your date and time. You're going to want to edit this to your particular location. If you're a Michigan group, you're going to want to go with Eastern time. And there's a little edit button here. The reason you'll want to change this is because when you create a meeting, all of your meetings will default to the settings in your profile for time zone. So you'll want to set your time zone ahead of time and decide if you want to use 24-hour clock or AM PM type clock, military time as they call it, or standard viewing time of AM PM. It's helpful to format that ahead of time so you don't have to change it for your particular events. And you can turn on two-factor authentication. I should point this out. So two-factor authentication is when you get a authorization code sent, for example, to a mobile device or via email, to have a second level of security. If you're concerned about people logging into your Zoom account, this can be helpful to make sure that you have a second level of security that folks have to get through to log into the administration interface for your account. And user management, this is where you can add extra users to your account. And each one of those users, if we go back to the plans and pricing, each one of these users is going to fit into either a licensed user, which is, as they point out here, it's just under $150 per license, or it could be a free user, a basic user as they call it. And so if you were to add a user onto your account, you select basic or licensed, or on-prem would be if you have a special type of account. And here you would add the email addresses of those. So again, this is for folks that you want to be able to host their own meetings that are affiliated with your group. You can add as many as you want, but if you're selecting a basic, this would be people that are having, again, meetings under 3 people that or are comfortable with being limited to 40 minutes if it's more than 3 people. Licensed are folks that are going to get, you're going to get charged for the $150 a year for that licensed user. And this is, you can select on a per meeting basis those folks, and you can provide some additional information as to who they are within your organization. And so we have our basic account, that's our account there. And then you're going to want to, once you set your account, so you may stick with just the one, you're going to want to go to creating a meeting to get a feel for how you create meetings. Here are 2 meetings that have been created that we have going on this month. You can see also previous meetings and personal room, as they call it, and stuff, and meeting templates. We'll look right now at upcoming meetings. So here's an upcoming meeting that was created, and when you mouse over it, you will see a start button, a edit button, or a delete button. And this view gives you a list of all your upcoming meetings. If you click the previous, this will show you previous meetings. So, for example, we have had our executive committee meeting, and our book club meeting was just yesterday. And these allow you to go back and look at the meetings, information, attendees, and whatnot. And also, you can find out about the recording, and you can delete that entry as well. Your personal room, this gives you information about your personal meeting room, and a little more about that. So, with meetings, when you set them up, they can either use a generated link and meeting ID, and this is unique for every event, or it can use your personal meeting ID and link and a set passcode, which will not change. And so our choice, and I think is a good choice, is to always use the personal room for meetings that are your regularly occurring meetings with membership and whatnot. The reason for that is that the link will always stay the same. This join URL will always stay the same. And so people don't have to, month to month, for example, for your member meetings, be like, oh, what's the new link for this month? They'll always be able to use that same join URL, as it's called, to join the meeting. So let's go back to upcoming, and let's schedule a new meeting. Let's go through the process of scheduling a new meeting. So click Schedule Meeting, and we'll call this, let's see, we'll call this the Life of Birds. Okay, so this is our Life of Birds meeting. You can enter a description if you want. And let's say that this meeting is going to start today at, let's say, 8 p.m. Okay, and you can change this. So this is a calendar view, so you could select a different day here. We'll leave it at today and say 8 p.m. and call this the Life of Birds. And we'll say it's a duration of 1 hour and 30 minutes. Okay, now you can set this to be a recurring meeting and say it's going to be every month, and select no fixed time, or repeat every day, or repeat every 7 days, and then set. And this is sort of basic online calendaring stuff. We choose not to do that because we do the second Tuesday of every month. It's generally the same time. Sometimes, though, we've shifted and done others. So we tend to enter these in uniquely. And it allows you to also enter in the unique information for each monthly meeting if you're going that route. And here's where you can set your meeting ID. And again, we always choose to do our personal meeting ID so that it's always the same. And we do not do registration or anything like that. You can choose to, but if you're going to be hosting public meetings where people can just bop in and out, generally you don't want registration. It makes things more complex. And I can tell you, after a year of hosting a lot of meetings for Sierra Club HVG, in the background, managing these meetings, you really want it as simple as possible for people to just either log in with their computers by clicking the link or calling in on their phone. You really want to avoid extraneous process. You don't want to make it more difficult than it needs to be for people to join your meeting. You want them to enjoy themselves and make it as simple as possible. So you've checked this. You don't want a waiting room generally. You want folks to be able to just join. Otherwise, what'll happen is in the waiting room, when they call in, they'll be relegated to a space where they can't participate, and you have to actually punch a button to let them into the general meeting. It's problematic for most public meetings, because then if you happen to be running the meeting or talking or busy moderating in some fashion, you also have to sort of pay attention to what's happening in the waiting room. So we don't select that. Require authentication, we don't require that. It should be noted that for security, you have to select one of these. We always do the passcode, because the passcode can be just appended to the meeting ID. And so the link always stays the same as long as they have that long meeting ID link, and they don't have to actually punch in the passcode either. But if they do, if they're typing in the numbers and they can just enter the passcode, it's always the same. And again, that's just a extra step to prevent people from logging in who maybe are trying to do something malicious and distracting. Video for the host and participant, you can leave this set to off. Basically, this is just for when people join. It's off until you select it. Computer audio, both can utilize, you can use telephone or computer audio in your meeting. And we generally do both because you do want people to be able to call in on their phones as opposed to just being able to use a computer. And we do get it usually with meetings, out of a meeting where we have 40 to 60 people usually for our member meetings, we will have maybe 6 to 10 people who are calling in over their phone. Allow participants to join anytime. We generally select that. And this has a little note here about that this will apply to all scheduled meetings with the personal ID. So generally select that. They can join at any time so that they can wait around basically until the meeting starts, as opposed to having to join only when the meeting has been activated by the facilitator. And mute participants on entry. So this one is really important. I encourage you strongly to mute participants upon entry. Invariably, when people join, they're just sort of getting settled, and there's some banging around, and they may not know that they aren't muted, and you can hear background conversations and maybe things that you are not really appropriate to hear or are distracting. And so you want to check this box in almost all cases so that people are muted when they first join your meeting. Now, here you can check to automatically record meeting, and what will happen is as soon as you start the meeting, the recording will happen, the video recording of the meeting. And this is going to record the screen, the video stream screen, and also the audio. We generally do not check this because invariably there'll be some time where people are just getting settled and you're maybe queuing up or doing some tests or something like that, or waiting for more people to show up before you actually start with the presentation or whatever, or the discussion. So we generally don't have this set to automatically record the meeting. For public meetings, you want people to get a time to get settled, and it prevents you from having to do any video editing after the fact. And very often, if you time things just right, you can take the resulting video and just share it out to people after the fact without any editing, and they don't have to wade through the first 5 minutes of a recording while things are getting set up. And here you can approve or block entry for users from specific countries or regions. We've never taken advantage of that. It's generally moderation of Sierra Club events is very simple. It's usually just remembering to just muting people who have forgotten to mute themselves after using their microphone, and just facilitating, helping with any problems basically that people might have. Alternative hosts is where you can enter in alternative hosts for the meeting. That's a very helpful thing. These are the users, right, that you've registered before. So here's our event that we've filled out, the life of birds, and we've given it a start time and a duration, that time zone that I was talking about, and all of that's set. So let's go ahead and save that. Okay, so there you go. That has been saved. And the information is here for you to then add it to a Google Calendar, add it to Outlook, or add it to a Yahoo Calendar. And your security is shown there so that you can see the passcode and know if there is anything there that you didn't want to set. So it's good to review your settings. And this lets you know there is not a waiting room and there is not required authentication to join. And the little green checkbox means, that, of course, that there is the passcode. Now, here's the invite link. This link includes that passcode. So if someone has this link, they don't have to type in the passcode. That's what that little PWD is. They can just click on the link and join. Now, if you want the full invite, that's this right here. Click the link that says copy invitation. And this is what you would send in an email, or maybe post if you want to post a detailed invite on the web or anything like that. And you just click this copy meeting invitation, and that copies that to the clipboard of your computer. And it contains the topic, the time, that link, that invite link. And then here, if they want to put it in on their phone, they can. It gives you phone numbers here, and it gives you dial-ins so that people can go to numbers within their region. And it gives you, again, that meeting ID and the passcode and whatnot. So this is great because you can just copy it to your clipboard and then paste it into, again, a website or an email or anything like that to send out to people. So, and then this gives you the information about the audio and the video and meeting options. So there's your meeting. It's all set up. Now let's bounce over to what it's like to actually start a meeting. So once you go and log in again, let's say it's the next day or later that day, and you see that your time is coming up to start your meeting, what you're going to do is click on that meeting there. And you can click Start Meeting right there if you're ready to go. Click that, and it's going to open this up and launch Zoom. And there you go. And we'll say join with computer audio. And you can test your speaker and microphone if you click that. That's a good way for people to know that their speaker is working and that their microphone is working. One of the most common things in online meetings is, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Am I showing my screen? Those are the types of things that if you can minimize them during meetings, it improves the flow a little bit, right? Okay, so we'll say join with computer audio, and that's my computer audio. So I'm now connected to this meeting. In the left-hand corner is the mute for my microphone, and the mute or start for my video. And if I wanted to start my video, I could do that and you would be able to see me. And so why don't we actually do that? I'll just click this, and here I am on the video. And so people who are logged into the meeting would be able to see me. And this is a background. You can set backgrounds in your account and your preferences for the Zoom application. And that can be nice, not just to show a pretty picture, but also if there's maybe you don't want to worry about things that are in your background, people seeing things in your background or whatnot. So you can start your meeting and enable your video and greet people as they come in. So if you click on security, you'll be able to, here I'll stop the video so that's not distracting. If you click on security, you can see things like locking the meeting. Like let's say you're getting, for whatever reason, someone or something that's causing issues just joining the meeting, you can lock it so no one new can come in. Or if you're having a private discussion, and that's usually more often how that happens. So you can lock the meeting, you can enable the waiting room, you can hide the profile pictures if people want some privacy. And here's where you can allow participants to share their screen. So if you check that, it allows people to share their screens. And there's also if you click on this little icon here, there's advanced sharing options. And if you click on that, this also is another way to set screen sharing preferences. So who can start sharing screens, who can sharing their screen when someone else is already sharing, only the host, who can share, all participants, and one participant can share at a time. And multiple participants can share at the same time. It can be very confusing. So just be mindful that generally, as they say, you're going to want dual monitors enabled for that. So those are the sharing preferences there. And again, if you want to share, you just click here and then select the screen that you want to share. So here I can make things really boring by sharing for you some computer programming and networking stuff that I'm doing. And then click stop sharing when you're done sharing there. Here's your participants list, and this shows you the people who have joined. If there were multiple accounts here, you'd be able to mute or show video, or you mute the audio or mute the video, or enable it. And I should clarify, if someone has not themselves muted their microphone, if you've muted their microphone, you can unmute it. If they have muted it, you cannot unmute it. And obviously that's for privacy reasons. And the same is with the video. If you've muted the video for someone, you can unmute it. Otherwise, not. And they get notification of that, I should also point out. So you would see your members here. And if someone's here, you can, other members, you can choose to kick them out. If you need to, you can add them into different groups. That's in an advanced video. We'll talk about the advanced features like people joining rooms, as they're called, and whatnot. But we're not going to go into that now. So you can invite people to rooms, you can kick them, you can mute them, all of those fun and exciting things. And here is the chat. And so the chat is a public chat. There's a public chat area, and you can also chat people individually. When their name is there, you can choose to chat them. When their name is down here, you can choose to chat everyone, or there'll be a pull down that will show individual names. And so you can individually chat people as well. And this is great for, as the meeting is going, people can ask questions. Sometimes it's if you have a lot of users and you want people to ask questions, it's best to do it in the chat, because having people trying to ask their questions with audio, you might end up with a lot of people sort of stepping on each other or talking over each other. So at the very least, what you can do is have people say, you can have them raise their hand using the reactions button. They can raise their hand, or you can have them say, put your question in the chat, and then either read their question out or select them to and enable their audio, or just let them know that they can then ask their question via audio. It's a great way of sort of minimizing the interference and people talking over each other, is to utilize the chat for queuing questions, or just people providing extra information, or posting links to things that are related to what's being discussed in the meeting. And this is the recording feature. So you can record on the computer that you're on, or you can record to the cloud. Again, it depends on which package that you had. If you have a paying package, you get a basic amount of recording to the cloud. It's something like, I don't remember the total amount of gigabytes for that. It's 1 gigabyte of recording. So 1 gigabyte of recording can get you a meeting or two. If you have your slides and all that stuff that you'd have during a meeting going. You can also record to your computer, which is more direct. Now, the issue with that is recording to your computer means that you have to be sure that you have enough hard drive space and that your computer has enough resources, processor and memory and whatnot to be able to do that efficiently without crashing or whatnot. Record to the cloud is, again, recording to Zoom, and then those videos are available on the Zoom website. Actually, so now I want to basically, after everyone has talked and they're done going through the meeting, you can click end. So I want to show you that you end the meeting like this, and you can end the meeting for all, or you can leave the meeting. So if you want to just shut everything down, you can select end meeting for all, or you can leave meeting, which basically allows you to leave the meeting yourself, but keep it going. So let's end the meeting for all. I'll click that. And there we go. And so that is the basic way of scheduling and conducting a meeting in Zoom. And I hope this was useful. Again, this was the second video in our Bootstrap series of basically hosting meetings, organizing, hosting, and publicizing meetings to help foster more community in the Sierra Club amongst members of a group and also amongst groups, sharing great stories and information and talks and whatnot, and pictures, and it's really great to have people sharing. So that's the end of the video. I encourage you to check out the Sierra Club YouTube channel, where we have videos of our events and also the other videos in this series. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.